Good afternoon, YouTube. My name's Andy, and you're watching the Desert Rats YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be getting back on my 2007 Fleetwood pop-up camper, and we're going to continue to work on the fiberglass roof that we have been working through to get this thing finally sealed up. We got a couple things going on today. We're going to try and get the roof sealed up completely with some Bondo to smooth out some of these rough edges in the fiberglass, and then paint. And then after that, hopefully we can get the top cover on and get it all sealed up. But first, I realized I haven't shown you guys this thing all folded out at all. So let's get in here real quick and I'll show you guys what's going on. Well, this is it here. You can see I got my cardboard that I've been working underneath. There's the hatch opening. This is it. This is the inside. So I've got both of the sides down right now. There's a bar that folds up, and then we also have the center pull out that will extend for the table. This table folds down to a bed, I should say, and then there's a couch right here that also folds down to a bed. Right here is where there's a shower and a toilet. Got our heater over there in that corner, and then right here we have our sink and our stove. So this folds up. That goes up right there. And then down here we have our refrigerator. Little mini fridge. Pretty basic, not too complicated. If you look over here towards the door, we've got some storage, a couple drawers, a cabinet. Got one of the beds here. So these are both king beds on either side. You might have noticed it as I was unfolding the trailer, but we have a little bit of a problem. We have a couple of holes, few holes I should say. I don't know if you guys can see all those. One here, here, and then there's also a couple down there. 3, 4, quite a few holes. This is the bar I was telling you about. Thing folds up. It's got some supports, but I don't want to put too much weight on that right now. This thing has got some supports that go on the outside to hold the bed portion up that comes out, and I don't want to put all my weight back there. But anyways, these fold out. In fact, you know what? We'll do it real quick and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, all right, guys. So I got this thing all expanded out so you guys can actually see what it looks like inside here. I got both of the ends extended where the beds are, and then the pull out also extended for the kitchenette, dinette area. And I'll get to better show you what exactly is going on with the canvas situation that we're going to end up having to repair. So let me move the camera so you guys can see. We have the back end bed here. So both of these beds are king size beds. They're really good sized, and the mattresses are actually pretty comfortable. But as you can see, we've got some issues with the roof. So there are a few holes on either side, both sides, where the canvas extends over. And what had happened was the previous owner had left the light on, which is right here. And these have like an incandescent bulb in them. And anyways, the lights got left on and this thing got folded up. The canvas was resting up against the light and burned holes in the cover. And you can also see that there's a hole in the mattress as well. So we got ourselves a little bit of a problem in here to fix. I think what I would like to do is convert these lights over to LED. There's a light on the other side here as well. I'd like to convert these lights over to LED. This has just got some duct tape on it from the fix. You see the holes on this side as well, all the way down. And a little hot spot on the bed, but didn't burn through this one. Here's our hole for our roof vent that we've been working on the roof on the outside, so you can see there's been some water damage on the inside here. And then outside. So here's the dinette area. There's a folding table that goes inside here. I have it outside right now. And both of these fold up to be able to use for cushions. And then this couch right here, you'll be able to use that as a couch, and then it folds out and you can use it as a bed as well. So as you guys can see, the inside here, it's pretty simple, pretty basic. I don't need anything more than this. It's got the essentials. But as you can see, we have some issues with the roof. So we've got to fix the canvas section. I've looked at buying new canvases, and they're approximately $1,500 to buy the canvas for the entire camper. Now the side canvases are in good shape. I don't need to do anything with them, but the outers for either bed are in need of a replacement, or they're in need of a repair. So I don't think that I'm going to spend $800 just to replace the side canopies on either side. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is repairing them. So we're going to have to look into that. If you guys have any comments or suggestions on how I should repair those, let me know down in the comments. I'd really be interested to know. I don't know anything about sewing, but I can figure it out. I can also use YouTube University to figure that out as well. So that may be something that we'll need to do. But I don't want to spend $800 to replace the canvases on either side. So this gets us into, what are we going to do with this camper? Well, I've got it's a family of 5. So me, my wife, and my 3 children, all girls. We like to go camping quite a bit. And the way we normally go camping is with a tent. We set up cots inside the tent, and then I have a potty seat that goes outside that I built. And we just camp out of the back of the truck, basically. But I'd like to be able to provide the family with a little more creature comforts. And so that was the idea behind this camper. I got it for a good price. I don't want to put a ton of money into it. This is just a very basic camper. I think this camper is a pretty good representation of the type of pop-up campers that you might find on the market today. You can pick them up for pretty cheap, anywhere between $500 to $1,500, and do a few things to them, get them up and going, get them good enough to use, and just enjoy them. I can't see spending a ton of money on a brand new one. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't have that much cash laying around to do that, and so I'd have to finance, and it just doesn't make sense. I want to be able to provide those creature comforts for my family, and to be able to do that, we need to do it on a budget. So that's why we're fixing this roof. That's why we're making repairs to this thing, and not just buying all new parts. I want to make this a pretty relatable thing to a lot of people out there that might want to just go camping and be able to enjoy that time with their family. This thing has all the modern conveniences of a brand new camper. So we've got a 3-burner stove and a sink in here. It's got a freshwater tank on the bottom. It doesn't have a black or gray water tank, but what it does have is a cassette type toilet, a toilet at that, and a shower all in one. Getting in and out of this thing is a little challenging. Shower's a little tight. Privacy a little bit slim, but if a guy wanted to, you could shower off pretty easily. This is a cassette toilet in here. This is where you empty the actual container for the toilet. Now, I'm not really sure exactly how to use this thing. It's got several buttons and whatever. I don't know. I'm going to have to figure that out, exactly how it works. I don't really know, but that's just part of it. You can see on the inside right here, this is where the toilet is, directly above. And it's got all this little doodads. I'm going to have to figure it out. It's kind of a learning curve. This thing just goes in and out, pretty simple. Just like that. So it'll make it pretty easy for dry camping. This thing also comes outfitted with a water heater right here. This is the access panel for it. Igniter runs off of propane. This trailer does take propane, so and the system in it too, I believe, is all 12-volt system. So it's pretty simple, not complicated. There is a shoreline that you can connect to power. I think it's got to have an inverter in there. It does have 120-volt outlets inside. So I'd imagine if you had it hooked up to shore power or a generator, you could run 120-volt outlets or 120-volt appliances, whatever you want. Plug your phone in, etc. So there might be some, solar upgrades, inverter, something like that in the future. For now, I believe I'm just going to keep it at 12 volt. I'm probably never going to have this trailer go into a trailer park where I've got shore power to connect to. Mostly dry camping. That's pretty much all we do. So I don't know. We'll see what the future brings. I know that you can pick up some solar stuff for pretty cheap. Harbor Freight's got some stuff that might be interesting to explore and dabble in. And if I end up doing that kind of stuff, you guys are going to see it on this channel. Underneath the trailer here, we have our fresh water tank that looks like it's missing some screws, or maybe it just sits in there. I don't know. But we also got a problem because the fill for the tank itself is broken, so that's going to have to be replaced. But otherwise, pretty spick and span underneath here, really. Just a little dirty. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's my pop-up camper. Like I said, it's a 2007 Fleetwood. Pretty simple, pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Exactly what I need, not too fancy. It's going to do what I want it to do. And for my family, it's going to be able to provide enough sleeping arrangements for us in there. It's got the 2 king beds on either side, the table that folds down to a bed, and the couch that it can use as a bed as well. So we can have a whole family in there and even bring the dog along. So I think it'll work. But let's go ahead and get started back on this roof here and get going on that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on sanding this roof down. So we've got the fiberglass already laid down. It's rock hard. It's ready to go. And we're going to get ready to resurface this top of the camper. So we're going to use a process. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, nothing complicated about it. But we're going to take some sandpaper that I've got here with my DA sander. We're going to smooth down the fiberglass that we've laid down, blend it all together, and then we're going to take a series of Bondo or plastic body filler. We're going to put that down on top of this just to smooth out all the edges so we don't have any sharp edges. I'm not going to use a lot of it, just enough to be able to give it a little bit of contour, make it look nice, halfway decent at least. And then on top of that, we're going to do some paint, some simple single stage paint, and put that down on there, and this should make it good enough. Now the paint that I got, it didn't have a white paint, but I got it at Tractor Supply. It's just their brand of tractor implement paint actually, and that should work just fine for this application. I'm not looking for a show clean here. I'm looking for something that's functional. So we're going to get started with this DA sander. I've got 150 grit sandpaper, and we're going to get after it. Oh, and don't forget, if you're doing this kind of work with sanding, any type of material, it could be fiberglass, it could be metal, wood, whatever, make sure you're using something to protect your lungs, because you do not want to end up with this stuff in there. We got the sanding all finished up. It's all done. I got it with 150 grit sandpaper on the DA. Nothing fancy. Quick go around with it, and it's going to take it care of good enough to where I need it. I picked up a can of this U-Pull body filler. It's a plastic body filler, or lightweight easy sanding polyester filler, I should say. and it comes with the hardener on top right there. On the instructions, it says mixing ratio of 2%. So however much that is, I have no idea. We're gonna kind of play with this a little bit. It also says on here the initial sanding from 80 grit to 120 grit, and final sanding 180 to 240, and it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to dry. Surface preparation, sand and degrease area. So I sanded everything we got here, and then I took my acetone with a rag and went through and wiped it. That should be sufficient enough. When I was going through and sanding this, I had a couple of spots where I noticed we got some pinholes, and I've got a spot where there was a bubble underneath the fiberglass. Not really sure why that happened, but got it sanded down. So we're just going to take this body filler and kind of fill in those low spots. There are some edges that I would like to get this body filler around, so nothing's going to look too janky once this is all finished. Like I said before, I'm not really totally concerned or of how this looks when it's done. I just want it to all be one color. I don't want it to leak. I don't want any cracks. I don't have to worry about it. It can be done. I'm done with it. So it looks a little homemade or home jobber like. I'm not really too concerned. I just don't want it to leak. So we're going to take this body filler, mix it up, and then spread it around, and we'll see what we come up with. I also picked up a package of these spreaders at the, actually I picked all this up at O'Reilly's Auto Parts. This body filler container, this quart, it was about 25 bucks, and a package of these 3 different size spreaders was like 6-7 bucks. So we'll just mix it up on some cardboard and gonna go from there. So follow along and we'll see how this turns out. Perfect. Whoa, you see that? Alrighty then. Scoop a little of this stuff out. It's like tan in color. Give that a whirl. Sorry if the wind noise is a bit much. It's starting to pick up wind out here as usual. Here comes the wind, hold on. This was the first time I ever laid down any Bondo before, and let me tell you, it was quite the challenge. Figuring out exactly how much hardener to mix with the putty was a challenge in and of itself, and then mixing it. So whatever you're mixing it on, make sure it's super clean. I found out later on while I was making subsequent batches that I would get little spots where the hardener would stay, and it would end up having like little rocks inside the mix, which made it difficult to spread. Now, thankfully, this project isn't super critical, but I would recommend if you're ever doing this yourself to try it out a little bit first before you apply it to your project. If your project isn't super critical like this one is, then give it a whirl, give it a try. No time like the present to learn, but it is quite difficult. This stuff hardens up pretty quick. Yep, that's it. That's all you get. So let me show you what we got going on here. There it is, all of its glory. The first layer of Bondo I've ever put down. Didn't go quite as planned. It's already tacking up quite a bit. Still a little tacky to the touch, but you get the idea. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to mix up some more of this stuff and I'll get back with you guys here in a few and we'll see how we did. We got all that Bondo spread out. It was a little challenging to do. I, by no means, am going to win any body shop awards here, but I figured out it was really difficult to get the right ratio of the hardener to mix. And you see, like, this is really blue and this is like tan. I don't think I put enough hardener in this little section that I did here because it didn't turn out as blue, and it's still kind of tacky. It's been about 30 minutes, I guess, 20-30 minutes. This blue that I put down, it's hard. Like, it's ready to sand, but this is not. This section, the rest of it looks like it's doing okay, but I'm not really too worried. I know I'm going to be able to sand it down and I can redo if possible, but I found that this stuff is really difficult to spread out. It's really difficult to mix and really difficult to spread. It is not easy stuff to work with. So let's turn the camera around so you guys can see what's going on. So we got this Bondo all put down. I did a test piece right here, sanded it a little bit by hand to see what we got going on. Looks like it's dried enough, and we're gonna start sanding this down. So it's got a piece of cardboard here, and the sandpaper is 150 grit. I'm just gonna start knocking this stuff down. I don't have a sanding block per se, but this will work just fine for my purposes. But anyways, I'm gonna start knocking this down and we'll see what we end up with. All right, folks. Well, I have sanded and sanded and sanded. I've reached the point with this thing that I'm comfortable with leaving it, and I've applied multiple coats of the body filler. I'm done. I'm good with it. It's got a couple of spots where there's a little bit of like pinholes or whatever. It's good enough for me. Like I said, I'm not aiming to make this thing some special showpiece that's going to go win awards or anything like that. No, it's going to serve a purpose. It's going to be functional, and it's not going to leak. So next step in the process here, and we got this all sanded down. And by the way, I started with 150 grit sandpaper, and then finished it up with 220. So it's good enough for me. So the next bit we got here is, I know it's a Tractor Supply. I just picked up some of the Rust Preventative Sandable Primer Spray. This stuff here. So they don't sell it in the quart, at least at my Tractor Supply they didn't. I bought their regular paint that I'm going to use in a quart, but they didn't have any primer. That's fine. So what I'm going to do with this stuff is I'm just going to spray down with the primer the areas that have been worked on. So all of the fiberglass areas and all of the bondoed areas are just going to get the primer. Once the primer goes on, I'm probably going to lay a couple coats of it on there. Once it goes on and dries, I'll come through with some fine sandpaper, give it a light sanding, and then we're on to paint. So it's getting late in the day today. Sun's starting to come down. Today I just want to get the primer laid down, and that'll be good for today. So anyways, that's where we're at. So let's go. Let's get at it. That's good enough for me for today. Like I said, this thing ain't going to be no show queen. This entire top here is going to get painted. So I'm not really worried about the overspray or anything. I'm just concerned about the areas that I put or did all the repairs with. So I'll probably lay down another coat after this, get 2 coats on there, and then we'll probably call it a day with the primer. And then we'll go on to the paint. So I'll show you guys the painting process next episode. I think this is about it for today, and we'll go from there. So I just want to give a big shout out to all of you guys that are watching. I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.